sometimes being resentful, it just doesn't magically happen. It takes something to be full of resentment. It could be a quick occurrence, or it could be an occurrence that's over time. If we think of ourselves in terms of, say, a glass, and I've put a little bit of water in there because I think we all start off with a bit of purity there. But if we think of ourselves in terms of a glass, a vessel, it can be in Soma breath, it would be called the Soma. It is something that is has an emptiness inside and contains. So we all start off with a bit of purity, a bit of light within us. But sometimes we encounter situations, we encounter people where that bit of water starts to get a bit muddied, and we start to have experiences that fill us with resentment. But if we start off with an experience where, and I'll just use random examples here, but say you're going about life, and I'll use an example of work, for example. You're trying to be harmonious in the workplace. So you're trying to get along with everyone, but then there's that one person that comes in with a bit of toxicity, and you're having a good day, and then like they just pour a little bit of that resentment into you. I'm already spilling resentment on myself. Now, we've gone from something pure to something that's a little bit muddied, a little bit resentful. But we're not fully resentful, are we? We're only a little bit resentful. So and resentful, there's that other term, resentment, which is kind of like sediment, layers upon layers upon layers of resentment. Okay, so we've got the work example. You've tried to have a harmonious day, and someone's come along and spilled a bit of resentment on your day. What about family situations? It's like who you are as a person is not being accepted, or who you are as a person is not being tolerated. You can't find your identity. You can't be you. So a little bit of resentment gets poured in there. Now we're starting to get a little bit more resentful. We're getting full of resentment. You're trying to do your best. You're trying to appease everyone. You're trying to help, but it seems that we're getting full of resentment, and it's murky, it's acidic, it's not nice, but we're carrying this resentment within us. Could be relationships. It could be situations where you have a time of great need and you're left abandoned, and also like treated with disdain, and the people that you think you care about you don't. So then you get a little bit more resentment, and we're starting to get fuller and fuller of resentment. It's not nice that you start feeling cranky at everything. You start getting angry. It's like, why aren't people treating me nice? And it's like, well, okay, well, someone else comes along and craps on your day a little bit more. Could be some stranger on the street, and we're getting more and more resentful. What started off as something happy and pure starts getting murky and murkier and murkier. And this could be going on for quite some time. It could be going on for years. It could be going on for days. It's like, and it doesn't feel nice to carry on to all this acidic stuff that's in us. But life being life, along comes a little bit more resentfulness, and we are almost full to the brim of resentment. We are completely resentful. And here's where it actually goes wrong for the actual vessel, the person carrying this resentment, because there's always that tipping point there, isn't there? There's always that one person that comes along, and then this, whoops, we're overflowing with resentment. We've lost our cool. We've flipped our lid, and now we're full to the brim and overflowing. We're having outbursts. All because we got full of resentment. We became resentful. Oh, still overflowing. Okay, props over. I'll move this to the side very slowly. I've got coffee on me at the moment. I did have a shower before, so I guess I'll have to have another shower. Allow me to clean up my hands so I don't get coffee all over my face while I do the tapping part. As you can see, what starts off with a vessel, something that is trying to navigate through the world, it has the world affected. It has, and we'll tap along, so there's meridian points along the side there, tap and chat, will help actually release any stored stuff that we have in our body while I talk. And you can change hands whenever you want. So this resentfulness, there's a give and take of the resentment, of the giving of, and when we look at resentment, what that actually is, it is sort of like, because when we look at it, it's not something that is just one person and the other person. It's an interlocking, they're connected. It's kind of like a sad dance in a way between the person that's giving resentment and the person receiving resentment. And both have their own responsibilities at the end of the day. So resentment in the sense of it can be anger, it can be jealousy, it can be control, it can be just not wanting the person to go out in life and succeed. Like it can be like the green-eyed monster sort of thing. It's like, I'm wearing green at the moment, probably not a good example, but like sort of like green with envy. It can be like a sense of control in the sense of like emotional control. It can be anger in the sense of, don't you do this, I don't want you to do it because I don't want you to leave me, sort of thing, or I don't want things to affect me, so it's better to control my environment. So everything just stays this way it is. And why I say it's an interlocking, because there is responsibilities on both sides to actually address this resentfulness, because with the giver of resentment, it's like a tap. It's just pouring out the resentment, and that tap sort of, it goes from fluctuations. It might be full on resentment, or it might just peter out a bit and then full on again, going in cycles. And there's also the receiver, where it's like there might be good intentions, but we're still having this receptivity to the resentment. And it's kind of like with everything, with every relationship, be it like an intimate relationship or just with friends and all that, there's normally like a give and take in that sort of thing, like an energy exchange. And what I mean by that is, like, we don't tend to get into friendships or relationships if we have a contract saying, you know, I'm going to abuse you and treat you poorly. How's that sound to you? It's like, great, that sounds great. Where do I sign, sort of thing? It's normally, what gets confusing is that those, when it peters out, those moments of like the affection, the friendship, the relationship, where it's actually like everything is actually good, because we don't tend to attach to something that is normally bad all the time, sort of thing. It's like we don't sign on the dotted line and say, yes, I agree to beatings every day, sort of thing. It's like, it just doesn't logically make sense. There's normally a confusion in the sense of like, have I got a good friendship or a good relationship, a good job, sort of thing, all these different things, all these interactions of the world. And at times it is a good thing, but there seems to be a source of resentment that is still getting poured into the receiver, and the receiver themselves gets confused, because it's like there is the moments of love or friendship or great times at work or whatever it is. And then there's times where it's just like, well, the acidity of pouring, getting fuller and fuller and fuller. Now, where responsibilities lie, because it's easy to get into a blame game sort of thing. And as I talked in a blame cycle, all you do is go around and around and around. But where blame actually gets confused is if the giver, for example, or the receiver, rather, if the receiver spoke to the giver of this poor treatment sort of thing and said, hey, I want to address this sort of thing, that can feel like blame to the actual person, because it's like, one, either they're not aware of it, or two, they are aware of it and they want to continue on doing that sort of thing. So why address this issue? It can feel quite blameful. And also blame gets confused in the sense of, is it blame or is it accountability? So accountability is different to blame. So blaming is like, I blame you for doing this sort of thing. And it's like, and blame almost carries a thing of like expecting the other person to fix the issue for you sort of thing. And like some people will blame the whole world, expecting the world to fix their problem sort of thing, when it's actually their problem to fix. Or there's actually accountability, where it's like, hey, this is actually an issue. I don't like this. Can we sort this out? And where it gets into the other, like the person giving their resentment, where that can go wrong is they don't want to be accountable for those actions. They don't want to be responsible for those actions. Now, accountability also applies to the receiver of the resentment. And the receiver's accountability is addressing where is their boundaries being crossed? How can we enforce those boundaries, or grow those boundaries stronger? And two, if you're away from a person that's giving you resentment and you're still got that, I'll bring it back in, if you're still walking around with this level of resentment in you, then that's going to play on to other people. That's going to play on to other relationships. It's going to play on to job roles. It's going to play on to friendships, relationships, everything like that. And really, you started off actually with a bit of purity. It's just you are now carrying the identity of resentment from someone else. And that identity of resentment is actually someone else's past hurt that they have not taken accountability to actually fix within themselves. They're pouring that on to other people. Now, holding on to that resentment is the accountability of the receiver of that toxicity. The accountability comes to actually address something that has affected you emotionally, physically, to reduce it. And then, so you're no longer having to carry around that resentment, because it's a terrible burden to actually carry. You're now carrying the identity of someone else's anger, someone else's blame, shame, guilt sort of thing, which is not what you actually started off with. You're now carrying that as part of your identity. It's kind of like a snake bite sort of thing. It bites you, and now you've got that poison in you sort of thing. You want to reduce that poison so you can actually live life freely again. Now, there's also the practice of like not being attached, or not allowing yourself to be attached to this. You should, like the saying, you shouldn't be so angry, or sayings of like, you know, I thought you were much better than what you were sort of thing, or these sorts of statements sort of thing, which are resentful statements in itself. It's like, you need to be a lot better than what you actually are sort of thing. It's like, there is no competition sort of thing happening here. There is no sort of level of normalcy that you need to achieve, but it is a put down upon a person. Now, when we look at practicing non-attachment to actual anger, to actually not be hooked onto so quickly sort of thing, because that's what they rely on, is to be hooked into, so you pull you down to their level sort of thing. We want to, there's that practice of like not being able to attach. Now, there's two ways to look at this, and it's kind of, one's a cheeky way and one's like sort of like sort of more of a serious way. Now, normally the people saying, you know, practice non-attachment sort of thing are people that aren't in a relationship or friendship, or they might be monks sort of thing, where like they have a daily practice where they can actually practice non-attachment. Like that, you don't sort of see someone go, you know, practice non-attachment so you don't get angry, and then the receiver walks into the room and starts screaming at them, and then they're like going, yeah, it's like you never really see it in real time. And it's also kind of like a metaphor of if someone's drowning and you just rode up in your boat and just said, you know, it's like the best way to stop drowning is to learn to swim. And you're like drowning going, yeah, well, thanks. Sort of thing. It's like kind of drowning at the stage sort of thing. It's like, because that's where you're full of resentment. You're in a sea of toxicity that you've been plonked into, or just it's been slowly building and building. So someone giving the advice saying, you know, learn to swim while you're drowning is not that helpful. And you can get resentful at that sort of thing. It's like, why don't you help? Pull me out. But what I mean by like the serious part is it takes time to learn to swim. It takes time to learn how to practice anything, be it a piano, be it learning how to fix a car, walking. All these things take time learning, and it's also hard to do it. Like, say, if you're learning to walk, if someone kicking you on the legs and like tripping you over and saying, you know, walk, it's easy. You can't, because the resentful person is pushing you down to the thing. So sometimes it's working with either a person that can actually address these issues for both the giver and the receiver, or it's putting in space, distance, be it permanent, short-term, whatever it is, so we can then detoxify and also put in practices where we can learn not to practice non-attachment. You just can't read a book about enlightenment and go, oh, I'm enlightened sort of thing. It's like everything takes a practice. Everything, you can't read a book on non-attachment, how to be non-attached, like with attachments, and go, that's it, I read the book, that's fine. It's like there is sheet music in like music books. You can look at that, understand music, but you don't know how to play because you've never physically put it into practice. So with practicing non-attachment, it is that a practicing of non-attachment to drop the load of resentment, so you don't have to carry that anymore. And with everything that you practice, there's fumbling along the way, and it just takes time to tune into back to who you truly are again, and drop the identity of someone else's anger. And it's not just tipping out the glass altogether. If I tip that glass out right now, it's going to end up all over the desk, on the computer, on me, which is not a good thing to do. We want to slowly peel back those layers, because that's actually like a really tense spring, because that's a lot of anger, that's a lot of like being betrayed basically, or being like what you thought, like it's kind of like an identity loss in a way. So slowly reducing that, so it's like the energetic charge doesn't also have an outburst onto other people. So it's slowly peeling back those sediments on that resentment sort of thing. It's like an old archaeologist slowly peeling away the dirt to get to the treasure, which is yourself, your true self, before it got all this crap put on it. So there's another point I was going to cover. Oh yeah. And also, like, say, for example, if you try to address with the person that is being the giver of the resentment, of the toxicity, it also has to come from within the person, that person that's giving the toxicity, to actually want to change, to actually want to address these issues. Because if they don't, then it just becomes sort of it's a crude word to use, but a fakeness in an actual attempt to actually get well, or it's a playing of a role to actually do what they need to do to then turn up the dial again. That change, any change that a person wants to make, is actually has to come from the person. You can go, hey, like as an accountability rather than a blame, these are the things that happened. I don't like this. Can we actually address this? And they don't want to, or they say that they sort of do. Then it's a case of like, is it an authentic wanting to change within, or are they happy the way they are, or is it too scary for them to actually step out of what they actually know? So in those sorts of cases, it's like it comes down to the person to make the decision of where they want to go through, whether they want to hold on to someone that's not really wanting to change, or just sort of like is not quite comfortable to make that change, or do you have to restore your purity back again? And by purity, I just mean free yourself of that toxicity, that it isn't part of your identity. Because identity sort of thing, it's like, it's easy to get hooked into. It's like you like a certain person, you hang out with them because they make you laugh, sort of thing. It's like, on a positive sense, you want to spend more time with them, sort of thing. And because you enjoy being around them, it makes you feel good, sort of thing. In the negative sense, if you hang around someone that's negative, then it's going to just make you feel bad, and you carry those emotions away with you. So there is an interlocking in that resentment, or being resentful. There is the person filling up, topping up your resentment until you're overflowing and outbursting. And there's also the sad thing of like, hey, well, you had this big outburst, you're an angry person. It's like, it's like I was getting topped up. So of course I'm going to overflow with an emotion, with an anger. We all do. Anyone pushed towards a limit will go beyond that limit. They will overflow. It's not uncommon. It's kind of the human experience. I'm down, and I look forward to seeing you. And if you're interested in a one-on-one session, then definitely book in. The website is up, eflowtion.com. And I am Dion from Eflowtion, and have an awesome and positive week.